Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Afternoon Tune. I'm your host, Josh, and with me is my two co-hosts.
It's your boy, Chase.
And it's your boy, Nick.
Spider-Man, Miles Morales, which is the PS4, PS5 video game. Not an Xbox video game. It's not for you Xbox niggas. You don't deserve Spider-Man. It's only for the good PlayStation boys. In this game, it is a sequel to the Marvel Spider-Man game starring Peter Parker. This one you star as Miles Morales, who was also in the first game, got his powers in the first game. And it's very much more of the same in a way. A lot of going around the city. This time it's in New York in Christmas. So it's you wearing a lot of Timbs. You know what I mean? He doesn't say dead ass. Very disappointed. No.
5 out of 10.
0 out of 10.
Doesn't say that.
That is
very, 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 very disappointing. Doesn't say that, but he is wearing Timbs. Does pet a cat, so that boosts up.
Does pet a bodega cat. There is an unlockable suit where you have the spider cat.
Okay, 10 out of 10. Never mind.
15.
Nah, you still get the points knocked off for not saying dead ass. That's very inaccurate to New York dialogue.
Yeah, very not New York accurate. Gotta knock points off for that.
That's like basing a game in Philly and not saying John. Like, come on, somebody's got to.
One thing about the city, you bring up the city. It is, I think it's similar to me how I felt about kind of Luke Cage watching that Netflix series, where very much the people in the city itself kind of do feel like characters, because they're very much, I mean, he's somebody that's from Harlem, and there's a lot of characters that you'll run into doing side missions or things like that that will reappear in the story later on at points that do make you feel like it's like this community, and these people that really do, this community, and these people that really do support Spider-Man, and they say like, well, he's our Spider-Man, you know what I mean? Like he's our guy that really, really does look out for us, particularly. And you really get a sense of that and a feel for that, like watching something, playing something like this and seeing those kind of different characters that you run into throughout the game. I will say, right off the bat, I will say the game looks absolutely gorgeous. I played it on the PS5. Really, really stunning graphics. Nick, how was it for you playing on the PS4 graphically?
Graphically, even the original Spider-Man PS4 game, it's still one of the prettiest looking games out there, and I think this game looks just as good, if not better. Nice. I really can't compare it to the PS5 because I haven't played it on there, but this is absolutely gorgeous. And something for you guys, they have whenever Peter Parker does appear in this game, he's not in it a whole lot, but they have the updated face from the remastered version, and even here it doesn't look as jarring.
It's like I said, I've kind of just gotten used to it. I never had a big problem for it to begin with. I think it looks fine, to me. I'm kind of just indifferent to it. Like I said, game looks absolutely really, really gorgeous. There's less glitches in it. I don't think I had any glitches in it, really. Last Spider-Man game, I had some kind of big glitches in it. Like when I was the final boss battle, I just totally glitched out. Like my character just wasn't even there. Like he was invisible. At certain points, he would be like, would like totally be just phased out and everything like that. Clipping in the walls, things of that nature.
I think I also glitched with the first time I played through the original game on the final boss. It was like I won, but then I was like stuck inside the building.
Yeah, like so I didn't have any like weird glitches like that in this game at all. The swinging in this game, best swinging I've ever experienced in any game ever.
The swinging tells you a lot about Miles as a character, because by this game's timeline, he's only like had his powers for like maybe 1 year, and he moves differently enough from Peter Parker. Like his movement isn't as clean as Peter's swinging is, It's like he's doing a lot of flailing around. He's doing a lot of like breakdancing moves while he's in the air, like with air tricks.
The prototypical swagger of a black teen.
Yeah. Jesus
Okay,
Christ.
calm down, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. Yeah. The exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
Oh, that's what he said.
It just-
Exaggerated, not prototypical.
Yeah.
Same difference.
Yeah, exactly. It gave me goosebumps. Oh wow, damn, bro, holy shit. Why did you read that, bro? Why did you write that, and why did you read that?
Yeah.
Seriously,
Like, what
like
the heck?
nobody in the process of editing it said, yeah, maybe cut that out.
Well, I think that was just. I think he's a one-man show. The dude that we're referring to.
Yeah.
Because he scripts his. I'm pretty sure he scripted that. He said it, and then he had to look at it for the next 10 hours to edit it. So I don't know how that slipped through in the cracks.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like that is just so goofy.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Marvel
Like,
Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Like you could have just said so many other things other than that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I feel like it would be more exaggerated if Miles were like a meeker character, but that is the point. Miles is not Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Miles is like, I feel like a more well-adjusted kid. He's more social. He has a bigger circle of friends than Peter did pre spider powers.
And like you
Yeah,
can
Like
see.
Miles is into like fashion. He's into like making beats. So yeah, he's gonna have a little more swagger about it.
Yeah. And
Oh, it's you know.
Yeah,
you know
any
what's-
swagger that he has, it fits with his character.
because he's not a nerd. You know, he's out here doing flips and stuff, looking cool.
He's a nerd, but he's a cool nerd.
Yeah.
He's like he's like a modern day nerd.
Yeah.
So the guy that did that review on GameSpot that said that, he locked his Twitter account. It says tweets are protected. Yeah, he probably just probably so many people were roasting him, bro.
He probably got an invite to Parlor that day.
Yeah.
Where you can say that anytime you want, and you can criticize the game for not having cops.
So like to bring up the swinging and like just how Miles Morales just feels like a different character than Peter Parker. You're right. I mean, he's not. I mean, I do think they do a good job of like saying like he's just not the same character as Peter Parker. He's not the same Spider-Man as Peter Parker. And
Yeah, because that was one of my big fears of this game coming out, that this would just be the PS4 game with a different skin. And it is very much not that. Miles has like his own way of moving. He has his own power set that is so much fun to play with, especially the venom blasting and the camouflage. That's so much fun. It's so satisfying using that with the stealth gameplay.
Yeah. Like the different variety of abilities, like the electricity that he has, which is on like that, and his invisibility, like his two unique like Spider-Man abilities that he has, akin to him. Him as a character, like you said, him being a guy that really, fashion, music, like the opening of the game, you see him put on his headphones and you hear the music playing from his headphones. When he puts them on, it did remind me a little bit of like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. How much he would kind of do things like that. The way he would be swinging through the city, like you said, like he's trying to catch himself from falling, like somebody who's really just their first kind of time doing it. I thought that was very good. Like he's doing these flips in the air.
Yeah, he does. One of his main parkour moves, like when he dives off the building, he turns around and like lays his hands behind his head when he dives, very much like he does in the Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah, so I think it has a lot of style that they kind of got from something like that, got from the Spider-Verse movie, which I thought was a very nice touch.
I mean, if you're gonna steal from the best stuff.
Yeah, and to get into some of the things didn't like about it, bringing up like a really great story in Spider-Verse, which was very good, loved it a lot, really great introducing this Miles character. This one, the story I thought was very much weaker compared to the first game. I thought the villains were very weak. It's very much generic evil businessman guy. I don't even remember his name.
Simon Krieger, he's in charge of Roxxon. He's basically evil Elon Musk. So, just Elon Musk.
I was about to say.
Yeah. He's also kind of barely really in the story all that much, and it's a short game. I think to complete everything, like if you want to do complete like all the side missions, collect all the stuff, I think they said that's about 12 hours, correct? If you want to do like every single thing in the game.
Yeah, it's like maybe 12 hours. It's a very short game. This is like something more akin to like a Halo ODST or like a Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Yeah,
it's long enough and different enough that it's not just DLC.
Right. Yeah, which was people's big fear. Is like coming in this like, well, is it just going to be DLC? Is it going to be a full game? Because they announced it pretty quickly after the first one came out that they were doing.
Yeah, it's like maybe 2 years after the first game. They announced this back in May.
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, and a lot of people they said it would be Miles Morales, and they were like, oh well, is it going to be like DLC? Is it going to be like a full game? Like what were you going to do with it? And a lot of people saying like, oh, you're just going to pay $50 for, basically DLC. And we'll get into that of whether like it's worth $50. We'll say at the end, final thoughts. If it's just DLC. But to continue on, just discussing, like I said, really weak villains, really generic, not really even in it all that much to care about. I think the story itself, there's not really as much, I don't think, emotional moments that's in it compared to the first one, which is a shame.
I think the emotional moments, there really aren't any with Krieger, the main villain, but without getting into spoilers, a lot of the side villains in this, they have some of the more emotional moments, and that's where the emotional impact comes in.
For me, I thought that was a little tired, and maybe it's the way they did it, particularly.
Well, because if anyone knows Miles Morales, Uncle Aaron is eventually going to show up.
Yeah.
But I just thought, I just thought that was kind of a little bit tired. Some of the stuff they did with some of the side villains, a character reveal that they didn't even let you even kind of play with maybe who it would be. They just kind of reveal it right away, like, oh, this is the person. And I thought that was kind of, I'm like, oh, well, and that was kind of a shame. Like, what was the point of that? But so I thought that was kind of one of the weaker elements of it. Getting to the combat of it, I thought that there's not as much variety compared to the first one, because with the first Spider-Man, you had so many of these weapons, so many of these different things you could do combo wise. Like a web blast or like a web grenade.
You had so many different gadgets and tools, which makes sense considering that Spider-Man had been at it for 8 years. He'd been doing it since he was 16, and now he's 24. Miles is at this for a year, and this is like Peter giving Miles his first real super suit. So I don't think he'd be as forthcoming with some of his toys until like he knows Miles is ready for it.
Speaking of the suits, how are the suits? How many suits do they have?
It's not that many.
There really aren't that many. Not compared to like the PS4 game. But again, Miles is like a more recent character, so he definitely doesn't have as many suits.
So I mean,
one I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get was his original Into the Spider-Verse suit, like the poorly fitting Spider-Man cheap costume with the Jordans on.
That would have been.
I'm kind of sad we didn't get that one.
That would have been a good one to add. Yeah, like, there's not really that many suits. I mean, like I say, you are comparing it to Peter Parker, a character who's been around for, 40 plus decades as a character.
Yeah, 40 years.
40 years, not 40 decades.
Oh, yeah, 40 plus years, as a character. And I think that, he's got all these different suits you can draw from that he's had throughout all these years, like punk rock Spider-Man.
Definitely all the spider armors that you get, just like Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, all of their suits you could add in.
Yeah, so I mean, you got all these different suits. Like Miles Morales, relatively new character. He's not even, how old is him as a character? Like 8 years old as a character, Miles Morales?
I think so. I think he debuted in 2010-ish, after the Ultimate Universe killed Peter Parker.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So he's still a relatively new kind of character. The suits look good. You get the kind of his first upgraded suit that you get, which is a standard kind of suit. That looks really nice, the black and the red. That looks really good together. I like those colors together.
Yeah, those colors really pop, especially in this winter environment.
Yeah, those colors are really nice. You get a Black Lives Matter suit that you can wear, which looks really nice. It's black and yellow. That's pretty cool. You get his Brooklyn Vision suit, which reminds me a lot of the promo with the Tom Holland for Spider-Man Homecoming. My favorite suit was the Spider-Verse suit, and then there's the special ability with the suit where you can actually make the game look like the Spider-Verse movie, where when you punch people,
it's like you can add filters where you punch people, you get the comic sound effects, and you can also put that movement filter on Miles, so he moves very much like he does in the movie. It's the world is the world's at 60 frames a second, and Miles is 30 or 28.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought that was a really cool feature. I mean, the suits, like I said, there's not that many suits, so there's not all these really cool different suit abilities, you know what I mean, that you can use compared to the first one. So that's kind of a downgrade compared to that. Using the Venom punch was his this electric charge punch that he uses. That's fine. And then he uses another move where he can just kind of use a big burst, and then one where he can kind of grab people and throw them. But when it comes to combat, it's just not as varied as much as as the first one was. And then with a lot of the side missions, it's a lot of stuff you did in the first one. Stopping criminals from stealing a car, stopping criminals from robbing a jewelry store,
finding them pigeons.
Yeah, find pigeons. There's even a find pigeons in this one. There's one thing you can stop a helicopter from being hacked. There's that's one new thing there. But a lot of stuff is you will remember from the first game. A lot of these side missions and things like that. The puzzles in this game, there's only a few puzzles. They're not really that challenging. Not to say I want them to be all that challenging. It's just okay, they're there. They're not that big of a deal. They're fine. It's none of the thing in the first game where you had those those different kind of blocks you had to kind of line up and all that other stuff that. That kind of was annoying. Doing those in the first game. There's none of that in this game. Which is fine. There's no sneaking missions when you play Mary Jane, which annoyed me in that. Yeah, there's none of that, and there's none of that there. Which makes me think a lot of that stuff kind of just padded the time out. You know what I mean, with that Spider-Man game doing stuff like that kind of padded the time out. So there's nothing like that in here. And I will say it being 12 hours, if you do everything, I mean, it's still an enjoyable experience. Just want to give my final thoughts here. It's an enjoyable experience of a game still. It's still, hey, you're Spider-Man. I mean, that's cool. I mean, you know what I mean? And you swinging around the city, I still get a huge rush just swinging around the city. Like, I don't know why anybody would ever fast travel, because like it is just so much fun just swinging. I mean, it's just so much fun, and still beating up criminals, even if it is, you know, kind of this similar kind of wave of enemies, wave of criminals. You know, you got kind of the same variety of types. You know, it's not that much, you know, different types that you fought in the first game. And I had it on the hardest difficulty. Even on the hardest difficulty, game is not really that challenging, but still, I still think it is an enjoyable game to play, and a game you still will have fun with, just being Spider-Man, just having fun, being that character, and overall, I would still give it a probably 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. If you know, it being at $50, do I think it's worth that price point? Maybe if it was the same price as like when Uncharted Lost Legacy came out, which is like what this is more akin to, like Nick said. Which, if anybody didn't know, Uncharted Lost Legacy was basically like the spin-off game they did off of the main Uncharted series with Nathan Drake, and it was with Chloe and Nadine. And I bought that game. I played. I thought it was really nice. It was like, hey, if you like Uncharted, this is just kind of more Uncharted. You know what I mean? This is kind of a little bit more material than just to have it on DLC. So we'll just come out with the full game and just make it $40. Which is, I think, maybe just the same thing here. It's like, well, we got the map for the city of New York. You know, Miles Morales is a huge character that's blowing up right now thanks to the Spider-Verse movie. Many people want him in the MCU right now. Why not? Let's just make a whole video game about him. And I do think, you know, it is more than just DLC. It's not just slapping a skin on, you know, Peter Parker and then saying this is Miles Morales. I do think he feels like his own character. You know, Genki is really good in it. You know, who his best friend from the comics. He's in this. His mother is very good in this. His character, Vanessa, who's one of his best friends. You know, she's a fine character in it. I just think story-wise, things just don't, you know, it's just not all that interesting. When you're swinging throughout the city, J. Jonah Jameson, you still hear his radio, but now to combat that, like there's like a podcast where it's like this like small podcast, and then you hear kind of they even have like their debate. Even like she says like, oh well, J. Jonah Jameson, I'm gonna challenge him to a debate, you know what I mean? So she's kind of, you know, like this up and coming podcast and things like that to basically that is very, very pro Spider-Man and very like he does great for the city and things like that. So that's kind of cool to listen to while you're swinging throughout the city. Something that, you know, different variety there than just listening to J. Jonah Jameson and his radio show. It being $50, like if you knocked it back to like $40, I think that'd be a perfect price point to price this game and to get it. 50, I don't know, but I still think it is a very enjoyable experience, and I give it a 7.5 out of 8. Nick?
I agree with you. This is a very enjoyable experience. I do agree that the story in this isn't as strong as it is in the first game. Like, you spend a lot of time with Dr. Octavius in the original PS4 Spider-Man before he turns into Doc Ock. And that story is especially heartbreaking, especially all the emotional stakes that come with that game. And there's nothing on that level in this one. But as far as the gameplay goes, this game plays amazing. Miles moves differently. He has a different power set that you get to play with, which is really satisfying. And much like much like on Lost Legacy, like you mentioned, this is kind of, it's not small enough to be DLC, but it's also not big enough to be its own $50 game. I think on PS4 it was like $40. But even that, I think, is a little steep for like how little content there is. But I still had so much fun playing this game, so I give this a 7.5 out of 10. It's definitely one of the most fun games I've had this year, but there isn't enough to justify getting it any higher. And there are seeds that are being laid for potentially where they're going for Spider-Man 2, the next game.
Yeah, good point. All right. So moving on from discussing Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, we're going to discuss. Get out of here, people. Hey, people, you all know what to do. Do that good stuff. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Give comments, concerns, constructive criticisms. Let us know what we did right. Let us know what we did wrong. If you want to chat with us, you can always email us at theafternoontune@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/theafternoontune. You can also find us on Facebook at Facebook page, facebook.com/theafternoontune. Also on Instagram at theafternoontune. Chase, where people can find you.
You can find me at Mr. Chase Mac at Twitter, Instagram. I'm actually now streaming on Twitch.
Sweet.
Not really
Streaming on Twitch.
I don't have a schedule or anything, but it's more so just like a sporadic hobby that whenever I sort of, whenever I feel like playing games and talking to people, I'll be on there.
All right, people, make sure you do not give him bits.
Yeah.
Do not give him bits. Do not.
I don't need your money.
Yeah, don't simp for Chase, people.
Yeah, you could simp for better things and better people. But where can they find you, Nick?
All right, you can find me on Facebook, Nick Taylor, or Twitter and Instagram at Night and Day Nick.
Great. All right. So, to all you people out there listening to this, whenever you're listening to this, hope you are having a great time, and don't forget to always stay